Mom, are you free this Saturday?
I didn't even look up right away. I stood by the stove, stirring the soup, already knowing exactly what was coming. My daughter, Mariana, had a specific tone whenever she wanted to ask me to watch the kids. It wasn't really a question. It was more of an assumption, like everything had already been decided. And I was just being handed the memo. What's happening on Saturday? I asked calmly. Art and I want to go to a friend's birthday party. It's an adults-only thing. Can you take the kids from noon until Sunday? I turned off the burner. No, I can't. Mariana froze, her phone still clutched in her hand. What do you mean, you can't? Exactly what I said. I won't be babysitting this Saturday. But you said you weren't going out of town. I'm not. Then what's the issue? And right there, that was what stung. The assumption that if I'm not at work, not at a doctor's appointment, and not traveling, 1 a.m. automatically at their disposal. Like my free day is just a backup resource waiting to be tapped by everyone else. I wiped my hands on a kitchen towel and sat down across from her. The issue is that I just don't want to. Mariana looked at me as if I had just said something horrific. You don't want to spend time with your own grandkids?
I do, but not when I'm just being handed an assignment. She let out a nervous laugh. Mom, come on, they're kids. You're flesh and blood. It's not like we're asking a stranger to watch them. That's exactly why I'm being honest with you, I said softly. Because you aren't strangers. I loved my grandkids. I loved Maddie and her never-ending stream of questions. I loved little Danny, who only fell asleep after you read him the exact same book about a dragon 3 times in a row. I loved their fresh out-of-the-bath smell, their sticky hands, and the sound of their laughter echoing in my kitchen. But I also loved peace and quiet. And for the first time in many years, I had earned the right to it. Do you know how many times I've watched the kids over the past month? I asked. I don't know. A few times? 9 times, Mariana. 9 times. First, the daycare was closed. Then you guys had a meeting. Then Art had to stay late. Then you were just too exhausted. Then you needed to go grocery shopping without them. Then it was just for an hour, which magically turned into 5. She dropped her gaze. I didn't know you were keeping score. I didn't want to keep score either. But when my entire life started revolving around your mom, can you bail us out? Moments I realized I had to. My coffee was getting cold on the table. Outside the window, the lilac bushes were swaying in the yard. Years ago, Mariana used to play under those exact bushes. Back then, I was the one pulling all-nighters, doing endless loads of laundry, rushing to daycare with a feverish child, waiting in lines at the clinic, cooking dinner after a long shift, and dropping from sheer exhaustion sometimes, falling asleep sitting upright in a chair. I didn't regret any of it, but I had absolutely no desire to go through that cycle a second time. I'm 61, I said. I'm healthy. I'm active. I can take pottery classes, meet up with my friends, and stay up reading a book until 3 in the morning if I feel like it. I can choose not to cook breakfast for anyone on a Saturday. I can sleep in until 10, and that's not an empty day, Mariana. That is my life. So what, we're an inconvenience to you now? No, what inconveniences me is the mindset that my life is somehow less important than yours. She went silent. I could see how much it hurt her to hear that. But it's much better to hurt once from the truth than to let resentment fester for years while everyone pretends not to notice. All grandmas help out, she finally said, her voice dropping to a whisper. No, they don't. People just don't like to talk about the ones who say no. They're too quick to label them selfish. And this isn't selfish? I smiled, a bit sad, but firm. Selfish is thinking a grandmother doesn't have the right to be tired. Selfish is calling at the last minute and throwing a tantrum when someone won't drop everything for you. Selfish is calling it love when what you really mean is convenience. Tears started rolling down her face. I got up and walked over to her, but I didn't change my mind. Sweetheart, I love you, and I love the kids, but I'm not your backup mother. I am the grandma. That's a completely different role. So you're never going to babysit them again? I will, when we agree on it in advance. When it doesn't disrupt my own plans. When my no isn't treated like a betrayal. Mariana wiped her face. I'm just so tired. I know you are. Motherhood is exhausting. But this is your season of life. I've already served mine. The words sounded harsh, but they were true. She didn't leave right away. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, she said, "We'll find a babysitter for Saturday." Good. Can we come over with the kids on Sunday instead? Of course you can. I'll bake a pie, but not as an apology. Just because I want to. For the first time all evening, a small smile crossed her face. After the door closed behind her, I went back into my kitchen. The soup was cold, and so was the coffee. I walked out onto the balcony and just stood there, soaking in the silence. It hurt a little, but I didn't feel an ounce of guilt, because I'd finally realized one simple thing. A woman doesn't stop belonging to herself just because she became a grandmother. This Friday, I'm going to a play. On Saturday morning, I'm going to buy myself a croissant and a coffee. And Saturday evening, I might just do absolutely nothing at all. And that, too, will be taking care of someone.